The Temple of Dis, a long and hidden history beneath Rome. Origins in Shadow, circa 90 BC, 200 CE. The rise of the cultus obscurus. In the waning days of the Roman Republic, as civil unrest fractured the elite and the Republic teetered toward empire, a secret sect emerged among Rome's most powerful families. Known only in whispers as the cultus obscurus, its members were drawn from the senatorial and priestly classes, men disillusioned with the failing promises of Jupiter, Mars, and the traditional Roman pantheon. They turned instead to Dis Pater, the Roman god of the underworld. Though publicly worshipped only as a chthonic deity of wealth and death, the cultus believed Dis was the true ruler of fate, keeper of time, and gatekeeper of the soul's final destination. They considered him more powerful than Jupiter himself. Construction of the temple. In 88 BCE, under the cover of urban renovation after Sulla's civil war, the cult began excavating a chamber beneath what is now the Roman Forum. Using techniques borrowed from Etruscan tomb design and augmented with knowledge from Eastern mysticism brought by returning generals, they built the Templum Tenebrarum, the Temple of Shadows. The temple was circular, windowless, and lined with black basalt. At its heart stood the throne of Dis, carved from volcanic rock and inlaid with human teeth. Ritual sacrifices were conducted monthly, coinciding with lunar events. Victims, often prisoners, slaves, and even the occasional child from the street, were offered to secure power, longevity, and influence for the Roman elite. 2. Imperial tolerance and silent suppression, 1st to 3rd century CE. The emperor's quiet complicity. Though the cultus obscurus was officially outlawed under Augustus' religious reforms, it was tolerated or ignored by successive emperors. Tacitus makes veiled reference in annals to a sect beneath the earth who claimed to speak with dead kings and gods alike. Domitian, obsessed with secrecy and divine authority, may have been a secret patron. Under his reign, the cultus expanded, adding a second chamber, a crypt of vessels, where the veiled oracle, a woman drugged and kept in a state of suspended agony, was said to channel the voice of Dis. Final sacrifices and sealing. By 212 CE, during the reign of Caracalla, the temple's influence began to wane. The rise of mystery cults, especially Mithraism and the growing Christian sects, overshadowed the cultus. A final, horrific ritual was performed involving the sacrifice of 12 infants born during an eclipse, intended to awaken Dis fully into the earth. According to fragments of the Liber Tenebris, the ritual failed, or succeeded in ways unseen. Fearing retribution or divine wrath, the remaining members sealed the temple and erased all records. A final message was engraved. We bind what sleeps. May it never wake. 3. Early Christian era and medieval erasure, 4th to 12th century. The rise of Christianity and historical cleansing. When Constantine the Great converted to Christianity, efforts to erase all remnants of pagan cults intensified. Bishops were instructed to destroy or sanctify sites of non-Christian worship. A monk named Valerianus of Ostia, in a letter to the Bishop of Milan in 342 CE, described a well of madness beneath the marble of the old gods and urged that it be sealed, not with stone, but with faith. The site was covered with rubble, buried during one of the many renovations of the Forum. In 849 CE, during Saracen raids on Rome, several underground passages collapsed near the site. Locals reported hearing cries from the stone and described seeing a horned shadow in the smoke rising from the rubble. The area became known in folklore as the Malo Cavernum, the Bad Hollow, and was avoided for centuries. 4. Renaissance rediscovery and Vatican secrecy, 15th to 18th century. Hidden archives and the forbidden manuscript. During the Renaissance, interest in Roman antiquity surged. Papal archaeologists under Pope Sixtus IV, 1471 to 1484, rediscovered sealed passages beneath the Forum. Though most findings were catalogued, one tunnel, reportedly containing unholy inscriptions and a godless idol, was deliberately resealed. The only surviving record was a letter archived in the Archivum Secretum Apostolicum Vaticanum. We have found the seat of Dis. Do not awaken what was put to sleep by blood. The Pope shall not permit a second fall. In 1692, under Pope Innocent XII, a section of the Vatican library was sealed off after the Liber Tenebris was retrieved by Jesuit scholars from beneath the Forum. They translated portions before halting the work, declaring it spiritually corrosive. The scroll was stored in a lead tube within a vault labeled non-read. Do not return. The modern era, a sleeping horror reawakened, 20th to 21st century. Ignored warnings and the 1930 excavation. In 1930, Mussolini's fascist regime undertook massive renovations in Rome, seeking to glorify its imperial past. Workers rediscovered part of the Templum Tenebrarum. Several died in a mysterious cave-in. Reports of the incident were suppressed, and the site was concreted over. One archaeologist, Professor Lorenzo Grimaldi, wrote a private note to his wife. This place does not breathe air. It breathes memory. Something ancient and furious waits here. The 2025 discovery. On April 3, 2025, construction beneath the Forum for a new metro line revealed a partially intact stone corridor with Latin inscriptions and cult symbols. Within weeks, archaeologists reached the main chamber of the Templum Tenebrarum. News spread rapidly as photos of the idol, ossuaries, and disturbing ritual frescoes were leaked online. Public panic, media frenzy, and religious outrage followed. A Vatican delegation arrived and closed the site, but not before independent researchers discovered a subchamber containing a child's body, seemingly preserved in unnatural stasis. DNA tests returned incomplete results, and the body vanished under Vatican custody days later. 6. Current day and lingering mystery. Lingering questions. As of 2025, the site remains sealed again. UNESCO has redacted documentation related to the Forum excavations. The Vatican has refused further comment. But anonymous documents continue to surface. Fragments of Liber Tenebris, images of a third chamber, and a rumored prophecy. When Rome forgets, the forgotten shall remember, and he who sits below shall rise. Religious groups have called for exorcisms. Conspiracy theorists believe the site was evidence of an ancient alien race. Meanwhile, some whisper of a resurgence of the cultus obscurus, reawakening slowly in the world's shadows. Conclusion. A forgotten God remembered. The Temple of Dis represents more than an archaeological anomaly. It is a chilling mirror of humanity's willingness to barter with darkness for power. Whether one sees it as myth, metaphor, or real history, its discovery reopens a question that Rome and the world might not be ready to face. What if our empires were never built in the light, but on deals struck in the dark?